Oh, it's you two. Does he...
He who?
I know that we're all struggling to wrap our minds around it all, but he looked like he was taking it really hard earlier.
What do you think about everything we've learned? About the Renans and the Greats?
On some level, I'm not even really sure what to think, to be honest. I mean, the Great Spirit, but if that thing's hellbent on trying to destroy our planet, then the only thing... As for the Renans, I suppose my feelings on that are...
How so?
Coexistence between Danans and Renans in Menancia is still a work in progress. In my case, I think that's partly because deep down, I was still on guard around Renans. So, to be told that they're like us, that they're actually just like us is, well, I guess it's a little deflating, to be honest.
You kept a pretty level head.
You mean about the Renans? At the end of the day, the Helganquil and the Great Spirit are the ones who are responsible. But at the same time, I realize that not every Danan is necessarily going to believe that either.
I know you're already aware of this, but the list of grievances the Danans have against the Renans is long, and understandably so. And if people then find out that they're all actually one and the same, yeah, I don't think they're going to take to it too kindly.
Even just among the Danans, I'm sure there'll be some who emerge with power and some who won't. I think if we can find a way to get rid of that imbalance, then we'll be in a truly good place.
Well, first we can try to figure out what to do about the existing conflicts we have.
Yeah. It'd be nice if one day people could learn to get past their hatred like Rinwell did.
It's no small task. We can't pretend like the past didn't happen and ask people to forget their very real pain and suffering.
Right. Everybody has their reasons for feeling the way that they do. But if we just keep in a worst-case scenario, it might lead to even more people getting killed.
And we all have to figure out how to meet halfway. Not just that.
That's an interesting way of...
It's true. Everybody has their own scars. It won't be achieved through reasoning, but I think it's a good first step. And now, I think I see a way to move forward. But to do that...
You both seem awfully calm.
Only because after everything we've seen...
How are you holding up, Rinwell? That whole talk about the Renans looked like...
Yeah. I get this sinking feeling whenever I remember how Danan mages like my family were persecuted and died out. And now, I finally know why that is. But I was thinking, if Renans end up living together with Danans again, then mages... I know it's not as simple as all that, but... Danans probably won't be so quick to let their guards down. And there might be Renans who still act superior because of their art.
It wouldn't surprise me. 300 years of bad blood and prejudice.
Yeah, I know firsthand just how much hatred, but even so, I was still able to change. So I was thinking maybe, I don't know, I could use my position as both a Danan...
Rinwell.
That Great Spirit worries me too, though. Dana's will feels so warm and inviting. So why is...
Now that you mention it, Everett 35 and the other scientists here never really brought...
Maybe. But regardless, at the end of the day, Dana's still our home.
We won't. We'll keep it safe.
I still can't believe...
You're not the only one still trying to make sense.
Really? You've never struck me as the type of...
Did you forget what happened back in Thistleum? Once my memory started coming...
It was really that bad.
Yeah, it was. But thanks to Law and everybody else, I remembered that I still had...
Man, I think you might be a better guy than me, Alphen.
Law.
I was too worried about repeating the same mistakes I'd made back with my dad. And that was no way to live. And I've tried, but all this talk about other races and the world ending, if I can be honest...
I know this is going to sound strange coming from me, but maybe the key is not to worry too much.
Oh?
I used to worry all the time about my thorns, for obvious reasons. And when I realized my visions pointed to a threat that was bigger than me, but that's when I finally got it. You guys were all there for me.
In other words, if you let the big picture stuff get you all muddled up inside...
The thing that's most important. All I want to do is protect the people that really matter to me.
Not everyone is strong enough to fight.
Huh?
It's something your dad told me once when he was still... Law, you know you're strong enough to forget all the big stuff going on. Just don't lose...
Yeah. It's like a big weight. I'll fight to protect the people around me.
I apologize for making you
You mean hearing the origins of the Renin?
Indeed. It's shocking to have so many things I thought to...
Even I'm still not sure everything we've heard here is...
Let's not delude ourselves. If what we've heard is a lie... I can only imagine that you must have been constantly feeling like this, ever since your memory returned.
That's just part of being alive, don't you?
To say the least. But enough about me. I'm not
When you say the other Renins, you mean the ones that are living...
Correct. Even if we stop the Great Spirit from annihilating Dana, putting aside the untold state that Rena may be in, if we do not...
So, I guess your only real choices at this point are to either stay on Lenegus, or come down to Dan...
And at the same time, Danans are hardly likely to embrace Renins with open arms. There is, after all, 3 centuries, and the victims of our rule have absolutely every right to feel animosity towards us
I didn't expect the former Lord of Menancia to be so down about people
Menancia's fate was a stroke of good luck. There had been backlash over how it had been ruled, and I was blessed to have sympathizers among my ranks.
But things can still change if you have the right people to help lead the way. Isn't that what you...
Indeed. I have fully accepted the burden of that responsibility. On that note, I have something of a favor to...
Oh? What is...
I wish for you to serve as a mediator, so that the Renins, as the one and only blazing sword. I suspect the Danans may...
And I take it that you'll be the one to represent...
Yes. I realize that I'm asking quite a lot of you. However, the fact of the matter is that it will take time for Renins to re-enter Danan society without any bloodshed. That is why...
You're the same as ever, Dohalim.
Is it too much?
No, relax. You get so tense and formal when you're asking for a favor. Listen, there's no need for that. We're friends.
You're too kind. I can see you were raised well.
That's some high praise, Alphen.
Then I'll ask once again, this time just as friends. Alphen, will you help me?
You don't even need to ask. Of course I will.
Thank you, my friend.
Well, it sounds like everyone's learning from their past and using it to create a better future for everyone.
What about you, Shion? How do you feel about the origin of the Renins?
To be honest, I'm not really all that shocked, actually. I mean, I might be a Renin in the literal sense, but I've never really felt like one of them. Right now, it's kind of a mystery.
How do you mean?
Because for a really, really long time, all I ever thought about was how I was going to die. Not if or when, but how. I thought I'd die alone. That fate had me in its steely grip. I would have never imagined that I'd be traveling with someone like you, fighting to save Rena and Dana. I mean, how could I have? It's been going on for 300 years. All this tragedy and destruction. When you consider the Helganquil's part in all this, it's been even longer than that. It was Naori's hope that somehow, someone in the future would be able to stop it before it was too late. How it fell on us, of all people, to heed that call is a mystery.
I don't think Naori was hoping that we would just stop the world from getting destroyed. She considered me, a Danan, as a real person. And she very much cherished her own people, too. I don't think she wanted the world to be saved, just so they could go back to hurting each other. Oh, maybe this is what she meant.
Huh?
When we were talking to Kisara earlier, about all that stuff like everyone's needing to meet halfway and embrace each other, she said that the first step down that path that means forgiving other people.
Forgiving. So it...
Yeah. I don't just mean forgiving things that happened in the past either. If we have any hope of moving on and building a better future...
You know, you're right. People can hurt one another.
It's not going to be easy, but if we can do it, I'm sure there'll come a time when we can all... I'm there with you, Shion. I too want to protect... I think that's the very least I can do to repay...
Yeah. I want a future that she would feel...
Whoa there, Savior Girl. We're here to save you.
Yes, I know. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten.
Well, is everybody ready to do what needs to be done?
I am. There's a lot to think about, but at the end of the day, Dan is still in danger. I don't care who we're up against. We'll kick their ass.
What are your thoughts, Alphen? I want to know what's on your mind, too.
Like Law said, if we have to fight the Great Spirit on Rena, then so be it. It's trying to rob us of our entire world, and it's going to take not just our home, but all of existence along with it. That alone is enough to make it our enemy. But it's not only that. One way or another, I think beating the Great Spirit is going to be tied to us saving Shion.
You're saying there's a chance?
You're referring to the vision of destruction we all saw in Lenegis, I take it?
Yeah. 3 centuries ago, the astral energy that appeared at the spirit channeling ceremony showed Naori that vision. And to hear Shion tell it, it's the same one that she sees from her own thorns as well.
Indeed. Shion's thorns are comprised of dark astral energy, the one type which we know is native only to Rena. And if Rena's great spirit is what's behind Dana's pending destruction, then...
Shion's thorns are the Great Spirit? It's not actually on Rena like we thought?
We don't know anything for certain. At the very least, though, I think it's possible...
While the main body resides in...
Shion.
If these thorns really are a part of Rena's great spirit, I'm going to go over there and give it a piece of my mind and then some.
The question is, how do we confront it? Suffice it to say, that flower growing out of Rena is enormous, large enough to house the will. The Wedge and Lenegis were both hard enough for us to overcome in their own.
And we only know about the Thorns connection thanks...
Hevric 35 has been observing the Great Astral. It wouldn't ask us to fight it unless it has a plan of some sort. Our minds are made up. Let's go give Hevric 35 our answer.
So if the Sovereign and Maiden were originally Buddha...
Even with the Forbidden Zone in ruins and the Renis Alma stolen, Lenegis is functioning fine.
First they lumber you with a position you never asked for, then you're discarded like you're nothing?
More importantly, who do they think we are?
I just hope everyone on Lenegis is...
Worst comes to worst, Lenegis is equipped with a large number of starships that people can escape in. As long as the whole satellite...
In any case, if we're truly going to make a difference, it's on Rena we're needed.
Right.
Do you have your answer for me?
You're asking us to fight an entire planet. How exactly do you... You must have something up your sleeve, or else you wouldn't put us up to it.
The great astral spirit is an immense being, but its actual will does not run throughout its entire body. Rather, its will is derived from the core, which supports the rest of the body, and is where its strength is most densely concentrated. Therefore, if you destroy the core, the Great Spirit shall become unable to maintain sentience, and return to being ordinary astral energy.
And how are we supposed to destroy that core?
By using the Renus Alma. You will also need the assistance of both the Sovereign and the Maiden. They are our best tools for suppressing and controlling astral energy. Using their powers, the Maiden shall seal the great astral spirit within her body, and the Sovereign shall wield the power of the Renus Alma to destroy it.
Hold on. That sounds a lot like what Shion described before.
Yeah, killing herself to take out the thorns with her.
She was actually right all along.
By my calculations, your powers combined should be sufficient to destroy the great astral spirit, and disperse its energy widely enough to make it difficult to reform.
What will happen to the Maiden once we manage to beat the great astral spirit?
Any matter contained within the field of destruction shall be erased.
So it really will kill me.
This method is the most simple one available to destroy the Great Spirit, and is therefore our most reliable option.
What are our other options?
There is little reason to consider alternative courses of action when the most optimal among them is so clear.
You don't get it. I promised Shion that she wouldn't die, that we'd save the world without needing to sacrifice her. We didn't fight this whole time just to give up on her at the very end. If there's any other way to take out the Great Spirit, I want to hear it.
This plan shall lead to the fewest losses in preserving your world. Abandoning it is irrational.
That's...
It is vital that you proceed with this plan. A part of Rena's great astral spirit already resides within her. 300 years ago, the Great Spirit descended upon Lenegis in an attempt to assume direct control of the spirit channeling ceremony. We have reason to believe the Great Spirit left part of itself behind, and that it now resides in the Maiden.
Which would make Alphen's earlier hypothesis correct.
That part inside the Maiden belongs to the core, and can be used by the great astral spirit to revive itself. So long as it remains, it will be all but impossible to fully eradicate the Great Spirit. That is why it is necessary for it to be vanquished only once it is whole. Without the Maiden's direct control over the Great Spirit, attacking it is futile, and will only serve to strengthen it.
No.
Wait. Naori said that the Renus Alma can suppress the self-realization of astral energy, and that the thorns can be neutralized by placing them in it. If so, can't the same also be done to the Great Spirit, seeing as the thorns are simply part of it?
Well, can it?
It is true that the Renus Alma is capable of what you suggest, and could contain the great astral spirit.
Yes!
However, doing so requires fine considering that the Renus Alma was previously lost when that ceremony failed.
What does that mean for us if you won't allow it?
Your starship will not be restored, and you will all be unable to leave here.
Why you?
Fine then. I'd rather stay here and rot than do...
Alphen?
Whatever we do, if we mess up, Dana's screwed. If you're fine letting that happen, and we have nothing to gain either way, then I'd rather do nothing. We want to stop Dana from getting destroyed. We want to save it. But not if it means having... If all you're gonna do is sit back and watch us where it's safe, then quit ordering us around and shut up!
Alphen.
What you say is irrational. Be that as it may, I shall accede to your demand.
You'll agree?
I am an observer. The Sovereign, Maiden, and Renus Alma are my species' greatest achievement. I wish to see how well they work against the Great Spirit in light of our demise by its hands.
But what are we supposed to do about the Renis Alma? One of your buddies ran off with it back on Lenegus.
It is likely that the Renis Alma is with the Great Spirit, functioning as a catalyst for it to receive Dana's astral energy.
So our only option to retrieve it is to head straight for the Great Spirit and take it back?
According to my observations, the astral energy is most densely concentrated in the center of Rena, where the Great Spirit's core is located.
So right in the middle of that giant flower, then.
I have one more question. You've said that Rena's great astral spirit is already integrated with the planet. What will happen to Rena once it vanishes?
Without the will of the Great Spirit, Rena is predicted to collapse. Even in such a scenario, the energy will disperse, and the Great Spirit will likely not reform.
So you're saying that even if we manage to beat the Great Spirit without destroying it, we'll still be in danger?
Likely, the collapse will occur in stages. It is recommended that you all escape before the final stage.
Man, I wish that thing would tell it to us straight for once.
Hevrek 35 and the others have gotten used to hypothesizing from afar, is all. Fix our starship. We're going to Rena.
Excellent.
But I want to make one thing clear. We're doing this for ourselves, to protect what matters to us. We're not doing it for your sake, or because you told us to. Remember that.
It matters little to me. The end result shall be the same. Repair work on your starship has commenced. You'll have to wait until it's finished.
Man, is it too much to ask for Hevrek 35 to talk like a normal person? I swear I can feel my brain starting to fry after listening to all that complicated stuff.
Don't worry. I think we're mostly done with him. Now all we have to do is rest up and wait. Is the Renis Alma really our only hope against the Great Spirit?
Shion's Fire Master Core was able to suppress astral energy. Couldn't we make use of that some?
I'm not sure. In small doses, maybe.
Back in Calaglia, the Blazing Sword was able to take in a whole spirit vessel's worth.
Except after it absorbed the energy, it ended up releasing it all moments later, remember? Besides, this is the Great Spirit we're talking about, not a paltry vessel.
Hevrek 35 didn't mention it, and it did not seem the type to skimp on details.
You're probably right.
You still thinking about what the scientists told us? About where Renans really come from?
I am, but not for myself.
You're worried about the future of the Renan people.
The fact that our people have been the same this whole time will only give the Danans further reason to resent us.
But you still intend to confront this truth head-on, don't you?
Well, I did declare that I would live my life for the living, and not the dead. Even as I dream of retirement, I shall remain dedicated to the cause.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Now that I think about it, I don't believe I've ever heard you criticize or reproach us Renans even once.
I'm no saint. I have skeletons in my closet too. There was definitely a time when I hated Renans for who they were. I hated them just for being Renan. But you changed that, Dohalim. You gave me an opportunity to see them in a different light. Thanks to your reforms, we were able to stand next to Renans not as slaves, but as equals for the first time in our lives. Of course, I'm sure there were some Renans who still hated us on the inside. But we knew that not all of you were like that. There were those of you who were good, and that was a start. When it comes down to it, Renans are just people. They can be good or bad, just like Danans.
That is, in essence, the heart of your approach, isn't it? That we're all people.
Yeah, it is. When you can pull someone aside and talk to them one-on-one, then you have the chance to come to an understanding. But as soon as you stereotype, that chance goes away, and you stop thinking of them as people that you can relate to.
I understand what you're saying, but we're talking about massive numbers of Renans and Danans alike. Realistically speaking, surely they won't all be able to get along.
Even if we end up butting heads with one person, maybe we'll find better luck among their friends. If we can build a society that works like that, that'll be something worth nurturing and protecting.
So you wish for people to form real bonds and do away with the hierarchy outright? To deal with one another as humans, and nothing more?
Yes, I do. I think it would make for a fine tribute to my brother's legacy. Do you still plan to return to Lenegis when this is over?
Indeed I do. I don't know whether I'll be able to reside in Lenegis proper, however.
You'll always have a home in Menancia, you know.
As I shall—
Well, if you ever need a helping hand, don't hesitate to come get me. Doe.
Did you just— Thank you, Kisara. I appreciate your patience as I work all this out.
Don't even mention it. And really, when you think about it, don't you think that brings down a barrier that used to be—
You know?
Yeah.
Hey, why'd you call me here?
Well, so I wanted to apologize while I came.
Apologize?
I was being real stupid before. About whether Dan is I get why you're angry now. Anybody would be if something— So, I'm sorry, Rinwell.
No, Law. Honestly, of course you were worried. Who wouldn't be if they found out there might be some—
But you really trust Dana's will, don't you? Is it because you—
Yeah, I think that might be part of it, but I think I also want—
Believe?
Remember how I used to really resent coming—
Yeah, of course. Because you were always on the run and—
When we rescued Zephyr and I finally decided to come along with you all. It was the first time I felt like my powers had any meat. Then, when I felt Dana's will, I was overwhelmed. It made me want to believe my powers were made to connect with it. It made me believe I had—
So that's why you hope it doesn't turn out to be bad. You won't—
Yeah.
Well, alright. Then I promise I'll—
You will?
There's no way for me to know for sure one way or the other, right? But you trust it, Rinwell.
Remember what I said about neither planet's great spirit reaching us here?
Yeah?
That's not quite true. I can feel just a little bit of—
You—
I sensed it when we first got here. It's a really small amount, but I think that's how Dana's energy probably is too.
So you're saying there's a little bit of Dana's will inside each of us? In a way, doesn't that mean we're all Dana's—
What?
Well, like you said, unless Dana's energy comes together, it has no will. So if we all have a—
Yeah.
Effort 35 might know the answer, but you know what? I don't need to ask it. My will is my own, so thanks, Rinwell, for sharing that with me. To be honest, the only reason I was suspicious of Dana's— I feel like you and I had grown apart lately, and I—
Huh?
Never mind.
No.
Saying? I don't remember. No,
Thinking?
that's not what I'm saying.
You sure you don't want to get some rest?
I can't. I've got got too much on my mind.
Same as you, still trying to absorb.
Remember when it was so simple? We were only fighting all the lords on Dana?
Ages and ages ago. Everything that's happened since we first met. So many fights, so much.
If I hadn't run into you that day, well, I wouldn't have met all of you. I never would have held the blazing sword. I wouldn't have my memories back. I'd still be a faceless slave.
Hey, Alphen. I want you to promise me something.
Yeah?
If we can't find the Rena's Alma, there's some... Like Hevrecht 35 said, the only way we can end the Great Spirit for good is to go after both the main body and Rena. I need you to promise me, Alphen, that if for some reason we can't get the you'll use the Blazing Sword to destroy the Great Spirit.
Huh?
It's true the Blazing Sword may not have the strength of the but it's taken us this far. It's slain lords and beasts.
You can't be serious.
Listen, we don't know what's going to happen when we face it, but we need to be prepared for anything. I promise you, I'm not planning on going anywhere. But if it comes down to it, I need you.
Okay, but you should know that I'm not going to give up on you, Shion. I hope you can forgive me for that.
Alphen, okay. I understand. So it's a promise.
Yeah.
I remember how I felt the first time you touched me. My thorns made any contact a mistake no one would ever make twice, after they'd seen what could happen. But when you reached out to me and gently took my hand, I don't have words for the shock I felt in that.
That's because I couldn't feel pain back.
Even once you could, though, you still chose to keep reaching out to me. But still, I hate having to see you.
You won't have to worry about that for much longer.
You think so?
I do, because Shion,
No. You can tell me once my thorns are gone. Okay?
Everybody get enough rest? We ready for—
Yeah, we should probably...
Agreed. Can't stand around.
Our task is relatively straightforward. We need only descend down.
We're fighting for a new future for
Right. We've come this far.
Then let's go, everybody.
Repairs on your starship are complete.
Is that you, Hevrecht 35?
I can see anywhere within the bounds of Dake Faisal.
Sounds like someone's a peeping Tom.
Maybe we should give Hevrecht 35 a break.
I have unlocked all functions on your starship. You can...
Warp drive? Wait, you mean like what the Red Women used on us?
It's possible that the Red Women may have found a way to activate it on the starship. They are Helgang.
Using the warp drive, you should be able to breach Rena's atmosphere with...
Wait.
You'll need to be careful. Due to the force field surrounding Rena, the ship will be...
So, once we reach the shell, it appears we'll have to infiltrate the core by foot.
We gotta go all the way down, just walk.
Will all the Helganquil go back to normal once we defeat the Great Spirit? I have a strange...
The extinction of my people is, as such, it would be illogical to risk the success of the mission in a vain attempt.
Can't that thing lighten up a bit? Everything it says...
Well,
Hold up.
You heard the lady. Get...
I have one last question.
What?
As Sovereign, your identification number indicates that you... Similarly, the Maiden lacks any identification number, as her function should have been rendered. Despite this, the two of you continue to exist. Why?
We exist because others have entrusted this to us. Over the years, many people have come together and sworn to...
You mean it is because of multiple chance interactions? The likelihood... Why have you two continued to persist under...
It's hard to explain. To be honest, I don't think it's something an observer could... All right, time to get back on the fall nights.
It would appear that our Helganquil host really has fulfilled its end of the bargain.
You know what that means. Time to go to...
I guess this means we should give that warp drive a spin.
There's nothing here. This weird ocean we're surrounded by just stretches out everywhere.
I don't sense even a trace of this world is...
Then this must be the Hollow.
You mean to tell me this whole world? The entire...
And it's covering everything.
This is what the Great Spirit does. After it depleted this planet of every last speck
So arresting. This world...
back in its day, Rena was probably... But after being robbed of its astral energy for so long, those days are gone and past. This is all...
So the Great Spirit took everything. It stole energy not just from living beings, but the land.
And it bound the Helganquil in servitude, until their whole world was nothing but this. And by the looks of it...
With nothing left here to consume, the Great Spirit turned...
You're saying if we don't stop it, this is what...
We can be sure that even these few remaining remnants of Renan life will not be spared in the end.
If the oblivion and darkness both Shion and Naori saw comes to pass, nothing will survive. It looks like we can climb down from there. Let's take a look.
So this is Rena. This is where everything began. Yet it's a dead world?
I won't let Dana suffer the same fate. Ever.
A hollowed ocean as far as the eye can see.
What do you mean, what would happen?
Come to think of it, I don't believe I've heard of someone ever trying. Perhaps you'd like the glory of being the first?
Nah,
This is essentially a world-sized Renan graveyard. Are you proposing to disturb...
No, because I said I passed.
Taking an interest is understandable, but let's not forget where...
Looks like we're not going to be hearing the...
You'd think I was already snorkeling in it. So the idea is to seal the Great Spirit inside the Renis Alma using the Sovereign and Maiden's power.
I'm guessing it won't be as easy as holding a
I already had wielded astral energy once 3 centuries ago. The problem isn't just our enemy's strength. It's that it's sentient, too. And you can bet any...
In other words, we need to find some way to weaken it in advance.
Back when Shion's thorns flew out of control, we were able to deal with them directly. If this is their host, they should be...
If that's the case, it should make them easier to attack at least. And if we can manage to divert enough energy away from the spirits...
We might just be able to weaken it enough to steal the Renis Alma. Which we can... It won't be easy, but it's our only shot. Question for you. Let's say, knock on wood.
What'll the world be like? Is that what you're at?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of this, do you...
A lot will have to change, that's for sure. The world will have to adjust to so much. My only worry is if the...
What do you mean?
It's well and good putting an end to Renan rule. But if it just turns the tables...
That's true. Just as bad if the Danans start...
Renans, Danans, astral art users, mages...
If only we could see differences like that for what they are. No different as someone having a... Not differences, so much as...
It will take someone in power to set an example. But with time...
There will no longer be any need for the example.
That's where we come in. Imagine it. A world where magic and astral arts are used to help people.
Yeah, you're right, Rinwell. Why wait for somebody...
Looks like we've warped into that pit of astral energy.
I wonder what Helganquil's civilization was like at its...
I can imagine that'd be something you'd take an interest in.
There's no question it must have been advanced, like none either world has ever seen.
I get that you're itching to delve into its history, but we've...
Put a pin in it, and you can do all the research you want when you retire.
I can think of worse things than a retirement dedicated to research. As for whether Rena is amenable...
It's a little early to be giving it serious.
A man can dream, though.
Oh, we didn't say there's anything wrong with dream.
In your case, Dohalim, dreams have a habit of spiraling.
You'll need to stay with us for now, though. You're too helpful to let retire.
Why do I feel this is less of a compliment and...
Just a friendly suggestion.
Hey! Hey, I just realized something!
Is this about dinner last night? I didn't realize those ingredients were off.
What? No! I mean, wait, you fed us rotten food?
Rinwell, the point.
Oh, yeah, right. So I was thinking about those armored soldiers we've seen.
Yeah, they're designed to make whoever's wearing them stronger. At least, I think that's the...
Right. So it kind of begs the question.
I don't know, makes them more intimidating, I guess? Or maybe all that tech was...
You don't think it's weird how the armored soldiers are the exact same height as the Helgat?
Can't say I'd ever noticed it till now.
Connect the dots!
Okay, let me get this straight. You think the armored suits might have originally been
Huh.
It would mean... just...
Not... hugely? Hey, Kisara, well, I've got you.
Get him, Hoodle.
What the...
Oh, now you want to listen.
Ow, ow, ow! Seriously, what the hell? You know, guys, when you think about it, we've taken out a lot.
You can say that again. If one thing's for certain in this world,
Isn't it weird that they're still so plentiful? You don't think the Renans have...
Certainly in all of my years, I've never heard of them constructing such a massive facility.
The only thing I can think of, then, is that the feral ones...
There's also no organized effort on our part to hunt them down, so it's difficult to fully
Exterminate them? Whoa, don't you...
What do you mean?
Zeugles originally used to be living creatures native to Dana and Rena, right? Being genetically modified...
You're right. Zeugles were only created because of us Renans.
first people made Zeugles, and then we let them go. And now we're trying to kill them because...
I hope we find a way to be able to live side by...
It's a nice thought, but they attack towns and cities. What else?
Aside from the strays that have gone wild, it's worth remembering that Renans are able...
If we had distinct territories that didn't overlap, that might reduce the
Well, I guess when you look at it that way, maybe people and Zeugles...
Helganquil!
Guess they don't need their Red Woman disguises anymore.
Wait, can you understand us?
It's no use. We're not going to get through to them.
So they really are being controlled. In that case, we've got no choice.
I knew there was something off here!
They're not pulling punches. We have no choice but to beat them at their own game.
This works!
Infernal turret!
Let's go!
Now you see what I can do!
Fly! I could do without this thing!
Swallow blade! I'm on it!
Now we're not...
Okay. I'm sorry to be a bother.
We've all got enough on our plate.
Yes, ma'am.
Tempest!
Swallow blade! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
First strike! I'll tear you apart!
Use all the power of my healing arts.
Swallow blade! Rising Wyvern!
That'll bring you down.
Mirage!
Can't get out of this!
Here we go again!
Gemini Ultra!
Astral Arts?
That's my cue.
Tear it down!
Shut him!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! Eat this!
Swallow blade!
I'll tear you apart!
We'll hold it together.
Swallow blade!
Do it! This ends now!
You can Consider yourself finished!
There you go, Alphen!
It's time to end this battle!
I am right behind.
Healing is what my art is best.
All mine can do is cause havoc and destruction.
No, do it! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
Oh, sparkling stars of light! Rain down!
I'll smash you!
This one's all mine! Slash! Ignite!
What a lead!
Rising Wyvern! Mirage! Swallow Blade!
Demons descend! Flashing Fang!
Alphen,
I can't forgive them for what they've done, but I hate killing them. They don't even know why they're fighting.
Perhaps. However, if we don't make a choice...
Yeah, I know. I hate for it to be like this.
I wonder if we're going to get attacked again.
If we lose heart now, this whole mission is over. We have to stay the course.
I thought there'd be more dirt and rocks and stuff underneath the hollowed ocean, but it's all artificial.
I would imagine they're remnants left behind by the Helganquil, seeing as there's little actual land remaining.
It's incredible. Do you think it stretches all the way down to the center of the planet?
Hey, these guys built Lenegus, remember? They probably did this in a weekend.
If they had the power to create things like this, did they really only use those immense capabilities to serve the Great Spirit? Or rather, was that the only use the Great Spirit let them use their capabilities for? We haven't seen anyone here except Helganquil.
The true citizens of Renna. What a shame that they have become nothing more. To think of the promise their accomplishments once held.
Do you think we could have got along with them? You know, if we had met under different...
Like all of us, you mean? I suppose it's difficult to say for sure.
I think we may have had the chance once.
You and Alphen both share an optimism. On the contrary, I should like to take a leaf from your book myself. In tragedies after...
Just look at the size of that thing. The Helganquil's technology certainly is impressive in the past 300 years. Oh, even before that. Just how...
regarding the past 3 centuries at least, I'd say there's a good... Also, while I get that it's impressive and all, I'm just amazed you're still standing around gawping at it at a time like this. Sometimes I wonder about your priorities.
I can understand where he's coming from.
What do you mean where it leads?
And that doesn't strike you as sounding just a little bit
Yeah. With all this technology at their fingertips, there must be some kind of device somewhere.
borrow one of their contraptions?
If it works for them, there's no reason it wouldn't for us.
You know what he's like, Law. Once he gets an idea in his head, there's no time.
I've got a really bad feeling about this. Sharpen!
If it's in the sky, it's mine!
These ones can run rings around us!
Rising Wyvern! Mirage!
Take this!
Rising Wyvern!
Prepare to be sealed, though, fleet of foot. Actually, perhaps sound is more appropriate.
Less talking, more doing!
Ready to go! Rising Wyvern!
Out of ammo!
Mirage! I'm on it! Swallow Blade!
Mega Ray!
Rising Wyvern! Swallow Blade!
Do it!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
Guess we don't know our own strength.
You could say that again. This one's tough, but we have no choice.
Let me know if you need healing.
Burn!
Eat this! I can carve through armor plate!
Confiscated!
Far enough! Take this!
Gemini Ultra!
Try this! Infernal Turret!
Here! Concentrate!
Now I can let loose.
All good things must away!
Do it!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade!
See that?
That training's paying off! Infernal Turret!
In a vine?
Swallow Blade!
Do it! Get toasty!
Bird strike! attacks of yours are amazing!
Who needs a gun when you can send them flying?
I wonder how the Renans avoided being mind-controlled like the Helganquil. Do you think it might have some...
I'd say it's likely, which is pretty
ironic?
The Renans have committed grave injustices against the Danans. But it was... Now, it turns out they themselves were once
Which must mean that the root of their evil isn't the Great Spirit.
Now hang on, though. It was that same free will that allowed Without it, we wouldn't have been able to beat hatred and forge all...
Law's entirely right. In any case, it's certain...
Yeah. Where there's hope...
What'd he say?
He said,
Is this a dead end?
It appears this whole room functions as an elevator. That apparatus there is likely what's used to control it.
What the... Where did they come from?
Less worry, more action. Concentrate. Insects should stay on the ground.
Just getting started.
Try this!
Flying free! Why can't they just sit still?
Can you take care of them?
No sooner said than done.
Astral energy!
Say no more! Got it!
Well done!
In the sky.
Enemies incoming!
I'll take you all on!
Then we'll take them down.
A whirling struggle.
Winds of
Try
heaven!
this! Infernal current! Swallow blade!
I'm ready to use all the power of my will.
Eagle fire! Swallow blade!
Rolling snap!
Sealed!
Mirage!
Swallow blade!
Not on my watch! I owe you, Xion!
Healing is what my art.
Commander of Heaven! Phoenix Cyclone!
Reinforcements!
A whirling struggle.
Winds of
Glacial
heaven!
spear.
Rising Wyvern! Mirage! Try this! Infernal current! Swallow blade! Slash! Do it! Swallow blade!
Illuminate the
Swallow blade! Rising!
It's time to finish this. Die! Consuming wildfire. Searing tempest. Against my will. Where are you going?
Infernal current! Slash! Ignite!
I'll kill you all. I'll never miss.
Come and get it!
Try this!
See what I can do!
Infernal current! Swallow blade! Not this
Now!
more!
Keep astral energy!
Say no more!
Will this help?
Oh, sparkling star!
Healing circle.
Talon hurricane!
Back into the fray.
I'm on a roll now!
A whirling struggle.
Take this!
Here, let me help.
First aid! Talon hurricane!
Do it. This ends now.
Consider yourself finished!
There you go, Alvin.
It's time to end this battle!
I'm right beside you.
I'm on it!
Mirage!
Water, here
Swallow
now.
blade!
Let them march with me. A whirling struggle.
Rising Wyvern!
Freaking does it!
Here's the healing art.
I'm on it!
Where are you going?
Get ready! Infernal current!
Go. Do it.
Swallow blade! Slash! This
Where
one's
are you
all mine!
going?
Glitter dragon! I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! I'll tear you apart!
What's what my art can do?
We're in the home stretch, guys!
What she said? Eyes on the prize!
That focus goes
Don't
double
want
for you,
you
Law!
long me! How come I get singled out?
This one's mine.
Slash! Rising Wyvern! Rising Phoenix! Swallow blade!
Do it.
Look sharp!
Lightning tiger blade! See that?
That training's paying off!
Sleep now!
As impressive as always.
Here I hope that wasn't true.
No, I mean you're even better than ever.
I've never seen Xion actually look
armor!
Talon sword! Slash! Burn!
Alright!
Swallow blade!
Illuminate the dark!
Rising Wyvern! Mirage! Swallow
Don't
blade!
mind if I do!
Slash! Slash!
Burning!
Try that!
Glacial spear.
Infernal
blade! Slash! Swallow blade! More! Swallow blade! Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
Illuminate the dark!
Try
Holy
this!
Land! Gemini Aqua!
Swallow blade! Rising Viper!
That'll bring you down! Winds of Heaven! Let the marksman handle this!
Swallow blade!
This one's mine!
Not today! This one's all mine!
Lunar Correction!
Ignite!
Nothing gets by me! By the power of water! Winds of Heaven!
Here you are!
Radiant Pierce!
Swallow blade!
Things come to an end. Now you see what I can do.
This one's all mine!
In a bind?
Do it! Double me! In an instant! Impact Claw!
With this, I can become even stronger.
Even in such a harsh environment. Is this? There are still creatures here?
You think they're native to Rena? Or could they be Zoogles somehow?
Whatever they are, they're dangerous. Watch yourselves around them. You think that pit stretches all the way to Rena's core?
If that's true, then if we go down, we should find the Great Spirit at the bottom.
We could get there even faster if we simply jump down instead.
You sound alarmingly serious when you say that.